love microphones. This is dangerous. I love microphones. It works. It's fun. Now listen, I think you've said everything already. I was sitting there listening and I'm like, well, this is great. I can just have fun up on the mic because pretty much everything's been said and you all know everything. But don't worry, I brought a bag of tricks, so it's kind of fun. Oh, I was going to put this little thing on. Now, it's true, I'm a sister. Now sometimes our students, they think that we came like this, right? That we were born like this. You know, your mom's in the living room and oh look, it's a nun! There you go! No, of course it doesn't work like that. So what is my story? What are you? Are you all seniors in high school? Everybody? Juniors and seniors in high school. Okay, so you all are way ahead of the game from where I was. Pretty sure that's true when I was your age. So I grew up in North Little Rock, Arkansas, in a lovely little family. I have 4 brothers, and my parents, I grew up in a Catholic home. I went to public school, K through 12, and I don't know if you know any, I think where you are in Houston is a little bit different than where I was. Pretty much everybody I was in school with was Baptist or Church of Christ, and we were the Catholic kids who they thought we did weird things, and they would tell us about that all the time. That actually was helpful to me because it helped me learn more about my faith. I'd go home and say, Mom, we don't worship Mary, do we? What in the world? Why do we confess our sins to a priest? So it helped me clarify our beliefs and really search for the answers for why we do things. I also was a part of, it was a non-denominational youth group, but really Protestant. It was Young Life, and actually this whole room in this meeting tonight reminds me a lot of that. And as I was walking up with Barb, you know, she was saying the architect who built this room said, you know, we don't do these in Catholic churches. This is, but that's why you all are so blessed. You have a Catholic youth program that's the fullness of the truth, really. You have the fullness of the sacramental life, the grace, the whole thing. So it's awesome. But that youth group, it was a blessing to me because I was searching, even though I didn't really know, searching to hear the voice of Christ. Okay, so fast forward a little bit, so high school, good, pretty, I mean, Catholic, but never really prayed in the sense of, I loved the Catholic Church and always went to Mass, loved learning about the faith, but never really had that encounter with Jesus. And I bring up the Young Life thing because I remember being like at ski camps with the Young Life crew, and the Protestant ministers would be up there talking about being saved and talking about giving your life over to Jesus, and I was like, so what is that like? You can't see them. I just remember thinking that, like, what is happening to people when they give their life over to Jesus? How do they, you know, really just because I had not encountered the person of Christ in that prayer encounter, certainly sacramentally, and he was hot on the trail chasing me, but I didn't know that at the time. So I go to college. I came to Texas, the great state. I was at the University of Dallas. It's a little Catholic liberal arts school in Irving, Texas, a great spot. For the first time I knew Catholic people. It's amazing. I had to call home. I was like, Mom, people have more kids in their family than we do. This is awesome. Like, and also, I encountered for the first time in my friends, they were totally normal, but they were doing things like, hey, you want to pray the rosary? Sure. Do I remember how to do that? Oh, I'm not sure. I forget. They'd be like, oh, let's stop in the chapel for a visit. I'm like, okay, so a visit. We're going to visit the Lord. He's really in the Blessed Sacrament. They really believe that. I mean, I believe that, but they're like, okay, they're going in to make a visit. Okay. So, encountering that, stopping in a little bit sometimes on the campus for daily Mass, encountering kind of a more intimate Mass, going to confession a little more frequently. So this is all happening. But you also have to know, totally college life, it's a little bit difficult for me to remain still. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a little high-strung. So consistency in my life a little tricky, and so the rhythm of prayer, as you all are talking about, I don't know if it's your theme kind of for the whole year here, rhythm of prayer.
It's going to be an underlying theme through the whole program.
Through the whole program, yeah. Okay, so that establishing that kind of rhythm was not really in my life. Okay. So, we're coming around the corner to the end of this, I promise. I just finished my junior year in college. I was about to be a senior, so I just turned 21. My grandmother was dying. She's in Minnesota, that's where my parents are from. They were shocked when we started speaking with southern accents, but my parents came south, my dad's job. Anyway, another story. So, I'd gone up to see her the summer right before my senior year in college. She was in the hospital, and she was in a lot of pain, and they had her on all kinds of medication. So I spent 2 nights with her in the hospital, and you know, looking back, you realize these moments of grace that came to you, and you don't know at the moment, like, whew. But what happened to me there was just watching her. She was pretty much unconscious, but she was praying. Very, very simple prayers. All she was saying were 2 names. She'd say Jesus, Mary. And I just remember it so distinctly. I'm sitting in the corner of her hospital room, listening and thinking, they're real. I know this seems so self-evident saying it to you, but for me, that moment, I was like, they're real. Jesus is real. And she knows him, and I don't, and I want to. I want to die like she's dying. I want to die calling on the one who conquered death. I want to know him. And I knew at that time that if I didn't start praying, have a habit of prayer, what you all are talking about, start moving towards that praying always, praying without ceasing, that there's no way when I was unconscious and on medication that I would be calling on him and calling on his mother. So, okay, I went back to college, it was my senior year, and you know, people would say this, I'm sure people say this to you, oh, you can do whatever you want, you know, the world is your oyster, this is great, and I don't know, for me, that started to give me a sinking feeling, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I go, oh, you can do anything you want. What? I don't know what I want. I don't know what that is. So, searching a lot. And one thing that I thought I always wanted was to get married and have a big family, right? So, you know, the little dating thing. And I was dating a great young man my senior year in college and thinking, okay, if we continue this way, should I marry him? Should I join the Peace Corps? Should I go to grad school? I don't know. A lot of graces that second semester of my senior year in college, I had, and this is just a little bit of full disclosure, so you'll know, like, not perfect. And God works through all of that. So there was a class I was taking, it was a Thursday night class, it was 3 hours long. Oh my gosh, I could not sit through the whole thing. I loved it actually, but it was just hard for me, and I was a little distracted. So, but God worked through all that because I didn't know, I would make it to the break, the hour-and-a-half break, and then I wandered over to the chapel. And they just started this 24-hour adoration from on Thursday night all the way through. So through to the next day. So I wander over. The first time I did this, there was this huge Irish priest up there. He was formerly like an Olympic javelin. So he's from Ireland. And I walk in the chapel door just to hear him saying, "Are you searching for your vocation with every fiber of your being?" I'm in big trouble. I haven't even, no, I'm not. As a matter of, oh wow, I have a vocation. Like God created me for a purpose. And I'm sure you all are way ahead of the game, but to me this was news. And I thought, wow, I haven't been asking God what he made me for. Wow. And it was also a huge sense of relief of, oh, I don't have to figure this out all by myself. He has created me for a particular purpose, out of infinite love, for an adventure that is only mine, has my name on it. So I was like, okay, I have got to start praying, right? So this whole desire to know him, to really, it's all coming full forward. But you can see I'm a slow learner. Like none of this took instant effect on me. So towards the end of my senior years, things are really coming to a head. I need to make some decisions and figure out things. I start just start very simply kneeling down before I go to bed at night and praying one Hail Mary, asking Our Lady to help me. She who totally surrendered to the will of God, what he had called her to help me know his will and see it, recognize it, and receive it and respond to it. So that was really the beginning for me of something, of an incredible adventure that I look back on and I'm like, wow, I can't believe what the Lord has done in my life. If you would have told me when I was sitting out there that I would be sitting up here dressed like this, saying these things to you, like it's the story and the adventure with him. That's really what prayer is discovering him. You know, how do you pray always when we're going through our lives and all of the long list of things that the litany we just heard? it's really being with Him. He is always with us, but it's coming to be aware of His presence always in our lives. And that's really, the year after I graduated, I ended up teaching at a boarding school for Mexican girls. It's really fun. I taught English as a second language. And very simple things. I always stayed with that prayer and still do, kneeling down before I go to bed at night. But that year particularly, my prayer became a question. Who are you? Who are you? Show me your face. Really, and He answers that. And I want you all to know that when you ask Him questions, when you seek Him, He answers. And I want you also to know that you can hear His voice. And you might think, what do you mean by that? It's not in an auditory way, physically with our ears, but He does speak to us. Ask Him to help you hear Him, to see His face. So it's really that discovery of Him, and it's the discovery of a great friendship.